Hello. Oh. Aloha. How's it going, everyone? I hope your lunch break, dinner break, late evening break, whatever it was, wherever you were in the world, your breakfast was tremendous, and you're ready for qualifying. Oi, oi, here we go. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Carl, Elia, Radio, Kai, A, Roy, Daisy, Jarvis, Splash, Alan, everyone else, Ant. Good to see you, everyone. Good to see you. Should be a good one. Should be a good one. Not long to go. Just under 14 minutes, as you can see there. So, bring it on, Rod. Exactly. Bring it on. So, a little bit of info, actually, in relation to FP3. You know Charles Leclerc, if you missed it. He was 200ths of a second behind Lando Norris. Not to put a downer on things, but that lap time, I saw the onboard footage, he got quite a significant toe. Down the start-finish straight, and also through Curva Grande turn 3 to turn 4. Whereas Lando got zilch. So, without that, he wouldn't have set the fastest first sector out of anyone, and he probably would have been a couple of attempts behind Lando, potentially even around where Lewis Hamilton was, because it was very close. So, still, that's the nature of Monza, and you can benefit from it, or you cannot. So, what time's the race tomorrow? 2 p.m. UK time. 2 p.m. UK time. Wait a minute, Ferrari t-shirt? Yes. Where have you been? Have you not tuned into a practice session this weekend, right? Oh my goodness. I've been wearing this every single session. Yes, that's what we're doing here this weekend. Every single session. There is no such curse on this top. It is purely made up, because last weekend at Zandvoort proved that. So, does quali relate a lot to this race, kind of like Monza? Every quali does, really, Kai. Yes, I mean, not every race is like Monza where you can't overtake, but yes, it is difficult to overtake at Monza in particular because of the slipstream nature. Everyone's running kind of similar low downforce setup, so the slipstream isn't as effective. Neither is the DRS as well. So we need a little bit of assistance with safety cars. We need a little bit of assistance with the headwind potentially down into turn 1, just down the start-finish straight to ensure that the slipstream and the DRS is more effective. But yeah, it can be, unfortunately, in these modern F1 cars, difficult to overtake because of the dirty air and so forth. I'm just delusional. I'm sure you'll be shouting, Charles Leclerc wins. Well, I won't be shouting that today. I could be tomorrow, because the race isn't won on Saturday. However, many will dispute that, because qualifying, normally whoever qualifies on pole does win the race. But hey-ho, that is the nature of F1 at the moment. So the UK emergency alert test will go off during the race tomorrow. Oh, is that tomorrow, is it? Forgot about that. So, but it seems like live data is ready for us. Who do I think will be on pole? Well, let's see who you think will be on pole first. And I'll tell you what, with 565 votes at the moment, or 566, it is close. I think this is the closest poll we have had for pole position, the closest poll for pole we have had since the start of this year. Piastri 25%, Norris 25%, they're neck and neck. Max Verstappen 20%, and Charles Leclerc. Lots of Tifosi fans, it seems. Lots of Tifosi are fans, aren't they? Lots of Tifosi, it seems, have been voting on this poll. 30% of you think Leclerc is going to be on pole position. So, I've changed my mind on who I think is going to be on pole position. Do I still stick with Max? I just got a sneaky, not a sneaky suspicion, but I just feel like from what I saw in FP3, I just think McLaren have that setup where they just have the advantage in the corners. But it could be getting a toe at the right time could be the difference between you getting on the front row or not, or getting pole position and not. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say Max Verstappen. The reason why I think Max Verstappen is because he is on a low downforce setup. He is showcased in the practice sessions that he has relative pace to the McLarens. And he has a brand new engine. That's the key factor. He has a brand new engine in the back of that Red Bull for this weekend, within his allowance and no penalty to be taken. And that's super important when it comes to Monza, because it's all about top. Well, I say it's all about top speed, but top speed is very important here, and he's going to crank it up. They're going to crank it up, and I think Red Bull kind of knowing themselves as well that between now and the end of the season, without there being in dry conditions at least, this is probably their best opportunity to beat McLaren. Toe to toe. So yeah, I think Max Verstappen, that's what I'm sticking with. However, I've got a feeling the McLarens are going to lock out the front row again. I just think they've got the advantage in the corners here, but it's going to make it interesting when it comes to the race tomorrow, because they are slow in the speed traps in relation to Max and Charles and even Hamilton. So how did Williams fall back? Because everyone else decided they'd either turn their engines down, or everyone else decided to turn their engines up a little bit, basically. James Vowles actually gave a brilliant interview with Sky Sports after the session, and he said that basically the issue they've had all year is that they've struggled to switch on the tyres. And he actually referenced Max Verstappen and said, if you watch the likes of Max, he goes, he can switch his tyres on and do a lap instantly on the first lap on the softs, whereas Williams are struggling to do so. And that's where their downfall has been throughout this season, is that they've struggled. Like, sometimes they've got it right, and Albon has been able to qualify P6 and finish in the top 5, and sometimes he's down in 15th or not getting out of Q1. So yeah, tricky one here for Williams. We'll see how they fare, but the key emphasis on them, if they have a good qualifying or not, is going to be if they can switch those tyres on. If they can't, then it could be a struggle for them, even when necessarily they might have a good race car. You love how people in the chat are afraid of the Ferrari shirt. Well, you haven't been here. The Ferrari shirt isn't cursed. We proved this last week at Zandvoort. I haven't worn this shirt for a while. Has Ferrari's performance improved? No. If anything, it's got even worse. So that is why we have it on here. If you can't wear a Ferrari shirt on the Italian Grand Prix weekend at Monza, when can you wear it? When can you wear it? So, do I think Williams will do well? It's just as I said, Alara, if they can sort out their tyre prep, yes, they can do well, I think, here. And I think they are, I say they're the best of the rest. We saw Stake F1. We saw Stake in FP3 turn it up. Bortoletto was only 2 tenths behind Norris. And yes, while there's still pace in the back pocket, plenty for the McLaren, I think Bortoletto and Hülkenberg have got Q3. They are a rocket ship in a straight line. And really, if you're a midfield team, if you're Isaac Hadjar, if you're Albon and Carlos Sainz, you're Yuki Tsunoda in that Red Bull, you're looking at the Stake F1, and you're wanting to qualify ahead of them tomorrow, and start ahead of them tomorrow, because they are going to be really tricky to overtake. They have some of the highest top speeds that we saw here, and they were at the top of the Sector 1 timing screens. So, yeah, it's going to be tricky to overtake those two. And if Bortoletto can qualify up there, not a good weekend for him last time out at Zandvoort. Anti-stall on the start of the grid, which lost him 5 positions from the get-go. It wasn't a good weekend for them, but this could be a good return to form for them that we saw, especially from Bortoletto just before the summer break. Can McLaren maybe flop? They don't look that comfortable here. They still look to be the team to beat. They do. What will be maybe key here is turn 7. We have seen them have some moments through turn 7 in particular. But that's where their advantage is. Their advantages are through the corners, so they'll be pushing more in the corners, particularly turn 6 and turn 7. Sector 2 and Sector 3, they were top of the timing screens. Sector 1, they were around 10th in the bottom half, but they turn it on in the second sector. That's where the corners are. That's where the downforce comes into play, and where the low downforce setup is not. You have to obviously go a lot slower to ensure that you can delay your input on the throttle. So yeah, for them, the corners, the second sector and third sector is where the time is going to be made up. And if the wind direction changes, I mean, you can see the wind direction at the top of your screen. It was just a south wind. Now it's an easterly wind. So if it is a tailwind, so if it's a northerly wind or a northwest wind, that means it's a tailwind. It means it's behind heading into turn 7. That will make things a bit different. Or even if there's a crosswind. So an easterly wind right now would make that corner a bit tricky because there's a crosswind into turn 7. So yeah, we'll see. 55k. Hey, thank you guys. Smashed it before the session has even started. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to leave the 55k up there. I won't update it yet. We'll see how much we can exceed that. Ah, Jarvis, 10 gifted subs. Unbelievable. Thank you, buddy. Much, much appreciated for that. So, yeah, if you have been afforded a gifted sub there by Jarvis, please give him your thanks in the chat. But, yeah, thank you, Jarvis. Thank you, everyone, for, over 55k. Onwards and upwards, eh? Onwards and upwards. I'll update that to 60k for tomorrow's stream. So yeah, you've made my weekend already, guys. But we have just over 3 minutes until this qualifying session gets underway. Who is going to be able to make it through? The tow is just, well, the first couple of sessions, Q1 and Q2 in particular. Q1 in particular is going to be very, very interesting. The traffic is going to play havoc here. Some are going to benefit from the tow, some are not. Some are going to get caught out there at the wrong time. It's going to be interesting to see. So at the moment, nearly 1,000 votes. 31% of you still think Leclerc is going to be on pole position. Piastri and Norris is neck and neck. Verstappen, 19%. And, well, Verstappen is my bet for pole position here today. But we will see. Not long to find out, guys. Not long to find out. Onwards to 100k. Yes, indeed. But thank you, guys. Much appreciated. Just over just 2.5 minutes now until Q1 gets underway. Might have missed this, but what happened to Williams' speed? They dropped off a lot in FP2 and FP3. We were just touching on it, critical fault. I think they did turn the engines up yesterday in FP2, to be honest with you, just like Ferrari did. So that plays a factor. And also, James Vowles did reiterate in their performance laps earlier on this morning, they struggled to switch the tyres on. A theme of Williams is qualifying and push laps, really, when it comes to this season and why they are so flaky. Alex Albon has been fuming, of course, on the radio plenty of times about how they've put him out into traffic and he hasn't had sufficient time to get his tyres into the right window. As you can have a decent race car and you can have decent pace, but if you don't have enough time to prep these very sensitive Pirelli tyres, something that the drivers have complained about plenty in this current regulation set, then you're not going to have the grip. You're not going to have the temperature in the tyres, and you're not going to have the level of grip and set the times that car can do. So you can have a quick race car and a quick car overall, but there's so much more than to just going quick. The outlap is just as important, probably, just as important, not more important, but it's just as important as the push lap itself. I'm afraid Sainz's top 5 streak in Monza will end this year. Hopefully not. We will see. We will see. Stroll will get to Q3, mark my words. I think it's going to be a struggle for Aston Martin, to be honest with you. Mentioned it a couple of times. Their strength is at the high downforce circuits. Their updates have been brought on primarily to increase downforce on the car, not reduce it, and that's why they've struggled at certain circuits, the low downforce circuits in particular. So, yeah. Okay. If you can use the English, it would be great. Just for everyone's sake here, and for my sake. I don't speak. I don't speak that language, unfortunately. Right, here we go. 17 seconds, 15 seconds. How do I get a channel membership? It won't show up for me, Alara. So, unfortunately, if you're using an Apple device, you have to use the description and link in this, below. It will send you to the browser. Unfortunately, on Apple devices, there is no join button because Apple takes a bite of the cherry, and YouTube don't want to pay that because they're owned by Google. So if you're using an Android device or any other sort of device, you'll have a join button that allows you to just simply pay via PayPal and so forth, or whatever payment device. But yes, with an Apple device, there is a link in the description below that will unfortunately take you away from the stream momentarily, but that's how you do it. Right, here we go. Q1 is underway. Q1 underway here. Kimi Antonelli. Big performance needed from him. He had a much better FP3 earlier on because of what happened. Of course, what happened in FP2. So we'll see how he fares. But he's on a set of mediums, which is intriguing here, guys. A set of mediums. That's interesting. So we'll see what strategy that is there. Maybe to try and maybe they think they can get through on the mediums here. The Mercedes. Not entirely sure what their thinking is behind that. Try and save a set of soft compound tyres, but I don't think a set of mediums is going to be sufficient for them. But we will see. I'm going to end the poll for who do you think is going to get pole position. If you have not had a chance to get your votes in, too slow. Unfortunately, 32% of you think Charles Leclerc is going to be on pole position. Lots of Tifosi in here. Piastri, 25%. You think he's going to beat Lando Norris there at 24% of the vote, and Verstappen, 17% of the vote. But yes, both Mercedes there, as you can see, out on the medium compound tyre. It's a bold strategy. We'll see how it plays out for them. If Antonelli does crash or have a moment here in qualifying, questions will be asked to Mercedes themselves of why they sent him out on a set of mediums. Not entirely sure what the reason for this is. Maybe try and save a set of softs, but I would think you'd want to just build confidence in Antonelli, to be perfectly honest with you, with his struggles of late, and especially for this weekend at his home. Well, it's not quite his home race. Imola was his home race, but it's still Italian, of course. So we'll keep an eye on Kimi Antonelli. Remember, pole position of last year was a 19.3. We saw a couple of 19.3s in FP3, and we have seen track. Oh, he's actually not. Antonelli's actually going slowly. So Antonelli is going slowly there and letting Ocon and Behrman through. So he's doing another lap. So he may be doing another outlap on that set of medium compound tyres, Antonelli, as Ocon was right behind him. We'll see if George Russell decides to do the same as well. But yes, a 19.3 was matched twice by Leclerc and Lando Norris in FP3 earlier on. And we have seen track records fall throughout this season, be absolutely smashed. And I expect we're going to see quicker than an 18.8 later on very soon. So that is the times kind of relative to what you're looking at. Anything in the 19s is quick, to be honest, for you in Q1. Let's see if any of the teams can do it. And unsurprisingly, Gabriel Bortoleto, fastest in the first sector in that rocket ship of a Stake F1 car. It is definitely not a green wheelie bin or green tractor at the moment. It is a green Lamborghini, as Esteban Ocon does a 27.2 in the middle sector. He done purples, but he has had both of the first sector and the second sector nabbed away from him by his teammates. Not particularly good first sectors from them, as you can see. Hulkenberg is half a second quicker than that of Esteban Ocon in the first sector. Gabriel Bortoleto similarly as quick as well, a 27.1 for him. But Esteban Ocon is going to be the first driver to cross the start-finish line here in Q1. What time does he set? And it's a 21.0, and that's quite slow, to be perfectly honest with you. Ollie Behrman at 20.799, so better for him. Lance Stroll splits Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman, the two Haasies, as Gasly goes quickest, the driver who has just signed an extension with Alpine till 2028, the Frenchman there. But Nico Hulkenberg is going quickest at the moment. Gabriel Bortoleto, a 20.349 from him. That's a good start to this qualifying session for Gabriel Bortoleto, as Colapinto goes slightly ahead of his teammate there. And Hulkenberg does the first lap time under 1:20. Good lap time from him. George Russell is about to finish his lap. Kimi Antonelli is starting here, so he's done a second outlap on that set of mediums. George Russell, where can he go on this set of mediums? Up into P2. Breaks the 1:20-second barrier as Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc are on their laps as well at the moment. Very quick from them. Lewis Hamilton, quickest out of anyone in the first sector. Loses a better time on his teammate in the second as Carlos Sainz moves up into P4 there. But he has had that lap time deleted. It will be deleted for track limits at turn 7 for him as Leclerc goes top of the timing screens with a 1:19.801. But can Lewis Hamilton beat his teammate here? He does have a 5-place grid penalty, of course, for the race tomorrow that is carried over from Zandvoort, and he goes a 10th behind his teammate there. Loses, importantly, that 10th in the last sector. So, Leclerc and Hamilton in the 120s, as is Nico Hulkenberg, as is George Russell. Let's keep an eye on Kimi Antonelli, shall we, as he makes his way through the Ascari chicane. A second lap for him on this set of medium compound tyres. A bold strategy by the Mercedes team, maybe looking to try and just get a banker in and see what their position is and use only one set of softs in this first Q1 session, as Max Verstappen is now starting his lap as he makes his way down into the braking zone of turn 1. But Kimi Antonelli, needing a good performance here this weekend, can only go 5th and is 3 tenths behind his teammate as it currently stands. Well, 2 tenths, just over 2 tenths behind his teammate on that set of mediums, a 20.2 from him. So he's undoubtedly going to need to do another lap. But yeah, I guess their strategy there, Mercedes, is to get that banker lap in and then put a set of softs on and only use one softs in this Q1 session. But Lando Norris and Piastri starting their laps as well. Let's keep an eye on Max Verstappen, shall we, as he makes his way through the second Lesmo here into turn 7. That is that second Lesmo. First Lesmo is turn 6. Second Lesmo is turn 7. And now he'll have DRS open as Yuki Tsunoda has gone quickest in the middle sector out of anyone at the moment. Maybe a cheeky little toe from him on Hamilton as he went down into the Ascari chicane. But good lap time there from Yuki Tsunoda. Let's see how he fares. Max Verstappen not far behind. And Verstappen is actually off the pace of his teammate at the moment. However, he was slightly quicker in that first sector. But he looks like it's neck and neck between the two Red Bull drivers, to be honest with you, as Tsunoda goes 5th, 2 tenths behind Charles Leclerc at the moment. And then Verstappen can only go 2nd. Verstappen recovers that time in the last sector there. Verstappen 11 thousandths behind behind Charles Leclerc and splits the two Ferraris. But let's see how the McLarens fare. We know that they're slower in the first sector because they're running more downforce, and they make up all their time in that middle sector, as Lando Norris is 1 tenth quicker, over a tenth quicker than that of Yuki Tsunoda in the second sector. He's 4 hundredths of a second quicker than his teammate in the middle sector, but quicker than him in the first. Of course, we know that Q1 is not where it's all at for the McLarens and even Oscar Piastri. How often have we seen Lando Norris top Q1 and Q2 and all the practice sessions, just like he is now? 119.6 for him, 2 tenths nearly quicker than that of Charles Leclerc. Oscar Piastri crosses the line and goes 2nd, and how often have we seen that? But then when it comes to the all-important session in Q3, Oscar Piastri digs out a performance and nabs pole position away from his teammates. He's very much builds himself into the weekend, as we can see that at the moment it is only Albon, Sainz and Lawson who have yet to set a time. Lawson is on a lap at the moment and he's coming across the start-finish line and moves up into P11. Alex Albon is on a lap, but it seems like his first lap has had to be aborted. Not entirely sure why. And we mentioned beforehand about the struggles of the tyre prep of the Williams. James Vowles discussed that post FP3 in an interview with Sky Sports, and well, Carlos Sainz had his first lap time deleted for track limits, and Alex Albon has had to bow out of his first lap. So not entirely sure what's occurred there with Albon. We'll see if he is going to go again or if he'll be diving into the pit lane. We will see. But McLaren comfortable at the moment at the top of the screens as I'm watching Carlos Sainz. He's off track through turn 7. What occurred here? So the second Lesmo for Carlos Sainz, and just understeered through. Yes, so he dipped his front left onto the gravel, and that means all 4 wheels were outside of the white line. It would have been a slow lap time anyway for Carlos Sainz, but at the moment both Williams are at the bottom. But Alex Albon, let's see, maybe it wasn't an issue for Albon on the first lap. He had Oh, there we go. Track limits at turn 1, lap 3 for Alex Albon was his lap time deleted, but I think he maybe did a second prep lap. We'll keep an eye on him. As no, I am watching the replay, and Alex Albon did lock up down into turn 1, which is why he had to take avoiding action and had that lap time deleted. So Albon is pushing again here. 26.592 for him in the first sector. That is only 10th fastest for him at this moment in time, but it puts him just behind Lando Norris in the first sector. The two McLarens at the moment are not even in the top 10 when it comes to first sector times. As Fernando Alonso has gone quickest out of everyone in that first sector. That is where the straight line speed matters most. It's all about that top speed down into turn 1, and then the run, of course, out of turn 2 through Curva Grande into turn 4, and then the tight twist, the tight, twistier sections of Sector 2 and Sector 3 where more corners, more downforce is required is where you see those running a bit more wing, their pace come into fruition. But Fernando Alonso, we'll keep an eye on him. Former Ferrari driver here, of course, as the sector leaderboards are changing, as Alex Albon moves up into P9, so a much better lap time from him there. Fernando Alonso is going to improve. He's getting a cheeky little toe from his teammate as well as he heads down into Parabolica, the last corner, as Hulkenberg in that rocket ship of a Stake F1 goes quicker in that first sector as Charles Leclerc improves on a second push lap on the same set of softs. But Fernando Alonso goes second, even quicker than that of Charles Leclerc, and moves up into P2. The top three are separated. The top four are separated by 1/10 exactly, less than a tenth exactly. George Russell on this second push lap on this set of mediums is going even quicker as well as Hamilton moves up into P5, 1.5 tenths back from Lando Norris and under a tenth back from his teammate in P3. The top five are separated by no little time at all. Kimi Antonelli coming across the line, a second lap on this set of mediums for him. He only moves 15th, and well, that is not good. And Kimi Antonelli is most definitely at risk here of going out as George Russell, his teammate, on a set of mediums, goes fastest out of anyone. Nico Hulkenberg pushes Max Verstappen into P8 pushes Max Verstappen down. He is now in P8 himself as Bortoletto pushes everyone down behind him and moves up into P4. So there is improvement here. This track is evolving and it is getting quicker as Carlos Sainz has just gone third fastest. Kimi Antonelli now in the drop zone on that set of mediums. He needs to get in ASAP and slap on a fresh set of boots. There are 7 minutes left in this Q1 session. So the track is evolving here, and you do suspect everyone is going to have to get out there and set another time as George Russell is on P1 at the moment, a 19.4. Bearing in mind, pole position of last year was a 19.3. That's the fastest time we have seen all day, and this is what happens when drivers and teams turn their engines up. This is what we have been seeing throughout this weekend, is only a few teams have turned their engines up through practice, and well, George Russell on a set of mediums is just 1/10, not even a tenth behind pole positions time of last year, and the fastest time we have seen in practice this season. This weekend thus far. So currently it is Russell in P1, Norris in P2, Sainz in P3, Alonso P4, and Bortoletto P5. Those three times in particular, and George Russell's, so Russell, Sainz, Alonso, and Bortoletto in the top five there. That is going to have raised a few eyebrows up and down the paddock in relation to how quick this track can get towards an end of a session. But all drivers are making their way back to the pit lane at the moment. In the drop zone, it is currently Pierre Gasly, Kimi Antonelli, who is on the medium. His teammate is in P1 at the moment on the same tyre, so not very good. But the top 20, all 20 drivers are separated by less than 900ths of a second at the moment. The drop zone, 700ths of a second between P16, just over between P16 and P1, and we have seen there are massive improvements to be made there. Alex Albon is in P14, 6.5 tenths behind that of George Russell, and 4 tenths just over behind his teammates. But yes, it is Gasly, Antonelli, Colapinto, Esteban Ocon, and Liam Lawson who are currently in the drop zone as it currently stands with 5 minutes remaining. This is going to be, I tell you what, we could see a shocker here. We could see a big scalp. If someone gets caught up in traffic, Max Verstappen is currently in P10. The gaps are not large at all. And this is going to be a very, very close qualifying. Just a tenth here or there can push you up. A tenth advantage, which could be the difference between you getting on throttle half a second earlier than others out of, say, potentially turn 7 or turn 6, can be the difference between you gaining a tenth or not and jumping up 6, 7 places. That is how close this session is right at this moment in time. How come they don't go out now like no traffic right now? Because the track is going to evolve and only get quicker. So really, it is risky. There's a risk element involved in, do you want to go out and get the benefit of a clean track and no traffic, but you don't necessarily have the quickest track state because the track is only going to get grippier with as the track evolves and more rubber's laid down? Or do you go out last and you get the quickest track state, but you have the risk of there being an incident and not having time to set a lap. There's always that risk element of wanting to go out late, and what do you decide to take? So very intriguing by the teams. Sometimes it comes down to driver preference, and well, Ocon and Behrman clearly want to get out there and benefit from as least amount of traffic as possible, because it can definitely play a factor here. What year was it when they all went round slowing each other down? A lot of cars didn't make it to do their qualifying lap. I think that was 2019. I think it was before COVID that happened. I think that was before COVID. So, very, very close right now. Very, very close. This is Multiviewer, Jam, Multiviewer. So, yeah, big thank you for everyone for tuning in. By the way, over 55,000 subscribers we have achieved here this weekend, and overall, so what a milestone to achieve. So, big thank you for everyone tuning in at the moment. Right at the moment, as Esteban Ocon is not happy with the strategy. I'm alone in front, exactly what we said we should not do. Esteban Ocon not happy with this strategy, currently in the drop zone in P19, and he is not happy that he is out up front on his own. He didn't want to be out with the first out in this last run in Q1 as he makes his way down into turn 1. He needs an improvement of over a tenth at the moment, with Isaac Hadjar 7 tenths back from P1 and Esteban Ocon 8 tenths back. He needs a 10th improvement to get out of the drop zone, but you think really he needs significantly more with how this track state is improving to ensure that he gets out of Q1 into Q2. Similarly, from Colapinto, Lawson, Antonelli, big time as well, who is now on a set of softs, as does Hadjar. Many drivers at risk here, everyone at risk really, as we even see the McLarens of Norris and Piastri both out there at the moment. We don't often see that this season with the McLarens going out there for a second run in Q1, especially, they're on a used set of tyres, but even so, that normally they save a set of tyres they just save the cars for Q2. That shows that they feel they're at risk and that there's going to be significant improvement here in this last run, but we will see. Let's keep an eye on Esteban Ocon though, shall we? He's green in the first sector, he's green in the second sector. He has improved quite some way, but how much is it going to be, as Liam Lawson has just gone 5th fastest in the first sector? Massive improvement there from Liam Lawson, who is currently dead last in this Q1 session, as Esteban Ocon moves from 19th up 8 positions into P11. Significant improvement there, as Behrman, his teammate, moves from P11 to P6. Big improvements here in the closing stages of this Q1 session. It is going to change massively here as drivers are coming to the end of their laps, as Yuki Tsunoda jumps up into P3. A massive jump up the leaderboard for Yuki Tsunoda there, pushing Alex Albon down, pushing his teammate Max Verstappen down as the two Ferraris start their lap. Only George Russell, who is currently P1 and set the fastest lap thus far on a set of mediums, is yet to go out there. He has stayed in the pit lane and saving a set of softs, as Verstappen is comfortable and moves up into P2. Antonelli moves up into P11, but will that be enough for him? He is only 5 positions above the drop zone of P16. There are green sectors across the board everywhere right now, but Hadjar and Gasly have gone slower in the middle sector. But by how much slower has they gone? As Hamilton has gone purple and quickest out of anyone in that first sector, 2 tenths quicker than that of his teammate Leclerc in P9. But Isaac Hadjar, pole position, a podium for him last time around. He moves up into P15. He's at significant risk of going out here in Q1, as Pierre Gasly cannot improve and is out. How about Colapinto, his teammate in P19, as Lawson is out. Made an error in the second sector, it seems. So Lawson has gone, Gasly has gone. We've lost Colapinto. Hadjar is hanging on by the skin of his teeth at the moment. Can Albon push him out? He can just. Hadjar, podium position last time around, is out. And that is it. We have Hadjar, an improvement by Stroll, but only up into 17th. Hamilton has backed out because he knows he's safe, as does Charles Leclerc. Many drivers now no need to push for them as they know they are safe, as Hadjar is out. Podium in Zandvoort. He is out in Q1. It's a double elimination for RB with Lawson down in 20th. It's Hadjar in 16th, Stroll in 17th, Colapinto in 18th, Gasly in 19th, and Liam Lawson in 20th. And well, Alex Albon has got through Q1 by the skin of his teeth there. Only 700ths of a second, as Carlos Sainz has been noted for failing to follow race directors' instructions. Oh no, Carlos Sainz, he wasn't happy with the stewards last time around in Zandvoort, and well, this time he has gained their attention again, but for a pit lane incident. Not entirely sure what that was for, but yes, Hadjar and Lawson, slow for them. They were actually quick in the first sector, but really struggled in the second and third sector. Let's have a look at some sector times, shall we? And, well, we can see here in particular the RBs struggling on this low downforce setup. They are super quick, one of the quickest in the first sector, where that top speed is required all the way down into turn 4. But where you need more downforce in the second and last sector, they are in the bottom 5, and that is exactly where they have finished. So Liam Lawson made a mistake through sector 2, which is why he had to bail out of his lap. Not quite sure where that occurred, but that is why that happened. And, well, Lando Norris did improve there at the end, a 19.5, but on a used set of tyres. So, yes, but George Russell, super impressive at the moment. A medium compound run there, and he did a 19.4. Probably got an assistance from the toe, which is super important here, even on these low downforce setups. You can still gain a couple of temps, and a couple of important temps, as we know. As the top 5 there, you can see, separated by just over 2 temps, so super close. Look at that, the top 10, the top 12, well, shall we say the top 15 are separated by 0.04 of a second. The top 10 are separated by less than 3 temps. That is super close, super close right now, and just shows how the performance of these cars, and just one little mistake here and there can cost you. Look at that. So if you look at it as an example, P4, Yuki Tsunoda, and Antonelli or Piastri in P10, there's less than 1/10 separating them. Less than 1/10 separating P4 to P10. One little twitch there, one slight hesitancy on the throttle could mean that you are up in P4 starting on the second row potentially at this stage, or you're starting down in P10. Super close, super close. Is this Yuki finally putting it all together for quali and the race, or just a fluke? I think there is... I think this is him putting it together. Yeah. I mean, you have to compare Yuki to his teammate. That's the best comparison. However, he did use a second set of... Yuki did use 2 brand new fresh set of softs there, whereas Verstappen did only use the same set of softs. But, yeah, it's an improvement for Yuki. And there are going to be some circuits where he is better at. He has had good success here in the past at Monza, and that's going to build confidence for you. And you're going to be a lot more confident heading into the race weekend at circuits that you enjoy and that you've had previous success at. So, Lawson had a huge moment in the first Lesmo. Did he really? I haven't seen that replay yet, but that would explain most definitely where he made an error. As you can see, 32.5 for Lawson in the second sector after going 6th fastest in the first sector. So, but Hadjar similarly also not very good in the second sector. Both RBs in the bottom 3 when it comes to the second sector times. And Liam Lawson was slowest in sector 3 as well, and Hadjar was 16th slowest in sector 3. So that's the nature. Start of Q2 will be delayed, it looks like, unfortunately. No doubt for them to clear the gravel. That's why we have got yellow sectors on track at the moment. Does Piastri have a grid penalty? Nope. That was only a reprimand yesterday from Piastri with him being released into the pit lane. As Hadjar is told, we're out. And Hadjar says, I mean, yeah, obviously. Of course, is what he said. He shouted over the radio, of course. So, yeah. How many Q1 exits Stroll already has? Stroll has the most Q1 exits in F1 history. And he is extending his... unwanted record. Q2 will get underway 27 minutes past the hour, guys. So you're talking 3 minutes time. 3 minutes time. Or just over 3 minutes time, sorry. As you can see as I can see the stewards with their brushes and a leaf blower blowing gravel off of the racetrack at the moment. So watching a moment for Isaac Hadjar as, oh my god, big moment for Isaac Hadjar through the second Lesmo. Yes, the car just did not turn. It just understeered straight through the second Lesmo. Maybe that was the wind assisted as well. A southerly wind means... no, it's more of a headwind into there, isn't it? So a low downforce there. No front end for Isaac Hadjar, and no doubt for the second RB of Liam Lawson, which is why they are both out in Q1. So, yeah, maybe the wrong setup for RB, as we know that they have been pretty good recently, both Hadjar and Lawson, and in that car have been digging out some decent performances, and yeah, not good for them. Is it possible for both drivers to give each other toes? Yep, that's totally within the rules if they want to do it. Ferrari didn't complete their last run. No, Ferrari did not complete their last run. No, we knew pretty early on in that last run of everyone that the bottom five were out. And there was no improvement. So, yeah, Hamilton backed out, Leclerc backed out, Piastri backed out, many drivers backed out of that last lap. So, thank you, Simon. Yeah, much appreciated. Over 55,000, so over 55,100 subs now. So, thank you guys for subbing. I have seen the notification continue to pop up there. So, yes, big thank you. Apologies, I can't name every single one of you. But yes, we'll be back tomorrow as well for the race. An hour before the race goes live, remember, we have a look at the strategy options. We are here for the sighting laps as well, where drivers make their way round to their grid positions. And well, this year, it's been worthy to keep an eye out on it because Lewis Hamilton picked up a penalty. Charles Leclerc binned it, didn't he, on the formation lap at Miami. Not saying there'll be the same shenanigans that happen here, as they're watching Liam Lawson actually through the first Lesmo. And it looks like he's got... Oh, my God. How did he control that? Liam Lawson. It looks like he just got significant understeer and a significant wash of dirty air from a car ahead, a bit of traffic. And he's got enough. He's got enough steering angle there where you'd expect the car to grip. But I think he's received a wash of dirty air from a car ahead, but both RBs having significant moments through the Lesmos. Lawson for the first one, turn 6, and Hadjar through the second of turn 7, and that is why they both went out in Q1. Do I think anyone will beat Lewis Hamilton's record lap? Yes, I think they will. I mean, George Russell just almost set pole position time of last year on a set of medium compound tyres. That is going to be... We are going to see quicker than Lewis Hamilton's lap, I think. So, top speeds. Yeah, I can check the top speeds. Where is the top speed? I did have it open. Hang on. Speed trap. So, this is going to surprise you. Who is the quickest? That's a lot of green at the top of the standings there in every speed trap. They are... They are super quick, Stake F1, and they are a rocket ship in a straight line. If you are Williams, if you are in a midfield team, that is who you want to try and out-qualify because they are going to be so tricky to overtake when it comes to the race tomorrow. You are going to get stuck behind that fluorescent green livery. But we have green light, pit exit open, Q2 underway. Isaac Hadjar, Lance Stroll, Colapinto, Gasly and Liam Lawson are the victims of Q1 and have gone out through Q1. Q2 is now underway. Remember, drivers will be using, no doubt, on their first runs, a set of used compound tyres. You can see there on the tyre history where that number next to the tyre will indicate how many laps they have already done on that tyre. So do not fear if your favourite driver does not set an overly quick lap time from the get-go, because they will be on a used set to ensure that they have 2 sets, hopefully, to use in Q3. Everyone here will be looking to get through to Q3 and will see an opportunity to do so. Kimi Antonelli, a good second run from him there, or third run, shall we say, in Q1, got him through. He did have to use a set of softs eventually, but George Russell, very, very promising from him. That Mercedes, of course, he had a power unit failure at the end of FP2. Doesn't seem to have any issues thus far. It doesn't look too impressive in practice. Could he maybe get involved with that top 4 that I suspect will be fighting out for pole position, which is the 2 McLarens, Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. George Russell, I have written off his chances here this weekend, but maybe he has found something overnight from Friday to today, and he could be mixing it up with those. Am I expecting much from Alonso, Blair? Not really, no. That Aston Martin, if he gets into Q3, it's a top tier performance from Alonso, because that Aston Martin is not set up. Their weakness is particularly at the low downforce tracks. Their strength is at the high downforce tracks. As I said before, this is where their downforce package has primarily, their update packages have been primarily aimed at adding downforce to the car, so that's why they've excelled at tracks like Hungary, like Zandvoort, what we just came from. But here, I do expect them to suffer more so. But Alonso, we know that he's done well here in the past. We know that he outperforms at Aston Martin on the regular. And if anyone's going to get it into Q3, then Fernando Alonso can. But Sainz and Albon, the Williams drivers, getting out there early and setting laps. I don't quite know what the strategy is here from Sainz and Albon, to be honest with you. They're on significantly used tyres. While Sainz is assisting Albon with a tow here, I feel like this is a bit of a waste for them, to be honest with you, using significantly used tyres like this. But hey-ho, maybe they just want to get into a rhythm and they just want to get a banker lap on there, because I guess you never know. But Sainz, 26.6 from him in the first sector. That's not quick at all. They are both a couple of attempts off of where they can be. To put it in perspective, Sainz's first sector time is 5 tenths, half a second off of Nico Hulkenberg's fastest first sector time. And Alex Albon, with the assistance of that tow from Carlos Sainz ahead of him, he is doing much quicker times than his teammate, even on older tyres, 8 laps compared to Sainz's 5 laps. But we have Verstappen on brand new. We have Russell, Verstappen, Tsunoda on brand new tyres. We have Antonelli on brand new tyres. Charles Leclerc, I believe, is on used tyres there, 2 laps old. Hamilton is on 2 lap old softs as well. So most drivers here are out on used tyres. As Alex Albon sets, as Carlos Sainz, big moment for Alex Albon in the last sector there, completely wasting the tow that Carlos Sainz gave him there. As you can see, Sainz did a 20.2 and Albon did a 21.4, a full second slower than that of Carlos Sainz. But still, that is nearly 8 tenths slower than what we saw from George Russell on a set of medium compound tyres in Q1. So we know that those times are not going to be anywhere close enough to get into Q2. So, yeah, not entirely sure what the strategy was there for Williams, but hey-ho, each to their own. What happened to Piastri? Piastri so a lot of drivers bowed out of their laps in their last run in Q1 because the bottom 5 finished their laps early and didn't improve enough. So, a lot of drivers bowed out of their laps early because they knew they were safely through. So no point in wasting any more of your tyre and, of course, risking the engine and so forth. But let's stay on board, shall we, with particularly Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is out there and is the first driver, I believe, who will be completing a lap time next after that, after that of the Williams. And a 26.406 for Verstappen in the first sector, a comfortable purple sector for him as the Williams have both set their times on the used ones. We do expect Max Verstappen to get into the 119s here, and he has just gone 6th fastest in that first sector that we have seen today thus far. Let's see how he fares. Is he going to be getting a cheeky little tow from Oscar Piastri down that back straight with the DRS open into turn 8? We'll keep an eye on Yuki Tsunoda as well and see how he fares, and well, he has got a nice one there. He's gone fastest out of anyone today in that second sector, benefiting from the tow from Oscar Piastri, but we do expect Max Verstappen in that Red Bull with that new powertrain unit in the rear of that car to comfortably get through into Q3. I do expect him to be fighting for pole position today. But Charles Leclerc has gone quickest in that first sector. Charles Leclerc, but he's been taken away from his teammate Lewis Hamilton. And then that's quickly snatched away by Gabriel Bortoleto as Verstappen does a 1:19.1, 2 tenths quicker than what we saw in Q1 with George Russell on the medium compound tyre. 3 tenths quicker. So big improvements here in this second session as the wind has died down a little bit as well. We're only at 3 kilometres an hour as George Russell goes into P2 of a 1:19.287 on a set of soft compound tyres. Antonelli moves up there, a much better lap time from him there, a 19.453. Good improvement there for Kimi Antonelli. 3 tenths behind Max Verstappen. But Tsunoda improves and splits the 2 Mercedes. Yuki Tsunoda just under 3 tenths back from Max Verstappen. He seems to have the grit between his teeth here this weekend. As Charles Leclerc moves up into P3, super close here. It is at the moment at the top as Lewis Hamilton has a bit of a moment in that last sector, unfortunately for him, and he's down in 7th place at the moment. Of course, he has a 5-place grid penalty. It is no doubt Lewis Hamilton trying to qualify as high as he can and help potentially Charles Leclerc if he can make it into Q3. Bortoleto, though, he seems to be on form here. He is looking to improve on what was a poor performance at Zandvoort last time out. An anti-stall for him on the start of the grid cost him 5 positions very early on, and it was a poor race for him from then on. But Oscar Piastri can only go P3 there. Oscar Piastri P3. This is interesting. Lando Norris is in the pit lane as he made a big error in Sector 2. So Lando Norris unable to set a lap time, and Oscar Piastri is P3. Very interesting, as Norris is told we need to box this lap. It's not an error by Lando Norris. He has been told to box this lap. Is there another mechanical issue for Lando Norris? But this time in qualifying. Many thought it would be in Oscar Piastri's camp that he'd have the mechanical failure next time around. But after having an engine issue or an oil leak issue in Zandvoort that forced him to retire very early on, he has just been told to box this lap while he was on a push lap. Let's see what occurs. I'm just watching TV images of them wheeling him back into his lane. Not entirely sure what's happened on board with Lando Norris as he went down into turn 1. And he did lock up Lando. Lando did lock up and he went... Lando did lock up, so maybe it's not a mechanical issue, and maybe it's just because they've seen a flat spot and they've decided to pit him earlier and just get him onto a brand new set of tyres. That might be why it is. As he had a lock up and he missed the first corner. So hopefully it's not a mechanical issue for Lando Norris. As we have Albon and Sainz. Albon can only he improves, but only does a 120 flat and is in P12, and that's on a brand new set of softs. Carlos Sainz is on a lap at the moment. Let's see how much he can improve by. He's going considerably quicker than his teammate, as Alex Albon really struggled in that first sector in particular. But let's see how Sainz fares as he comes around the last corner. Where can he go? Currently 13th at the moment on a brand new set of boots as he comes across the line and moves into P9, pushing Fernando Alonso down into the drop zone. It is Alonso, Ocon, Albon, Hulkenberg and Lando Norris in the drop zone at the moment. So Lando Norris is back out there. It seems like that Lando is okay. Taco, you said they just didn't have enough fuel to do 2 laps. That may be correct. Yep, that may be very correct. And maybe they probably saw a flat spot on his set of tyres as well, as he is on a brand new set of tyres. So a big lock-up down into turn 1 will cause a flat spot on your tyres, and it will make it feel like that you're driving on a 20p or a 50p piece UK currency, that is coin. But yes, Lando Norris there, he's going for another push lap. He will have clean air, so this may actually benefit him. But what's intriguing for me is that Oscar Piastri is 1.5 tenths back from Verstappen, and he's behind George Russell. That's intriguing. So let's see how they fare in a second run. So no doubt they're going to go again, but the top 10 are separated by half a second. It's really close at the moment. Right, let's stay on board with Lando Norris, shall we? Let's see how he fares. He's going to go again. He's got all the track ahead of him. It's only Carlos Sainz on his in-lap that is out on track at the moment, other than Lando. He is currently dead last, P15. And, well, he just needs to keep it within track limits, and he will comfortably, you imagine, get through into Q3 and fight it out for pole position, as he has seemed to have navigated his way through turn 1 nice and safely there, as they are told... irrelevant information there from his engineer to Lando. But 320 kilometers an hour is a 26.5 for Lando in the first sector, and that's overly cautious for Lando in that first sector, to be honest with you. That's slower than what he did in Q1. So the McLarens we know are slow in that first sector, but while that's green, that's only because he hasn't set a lap time yet. But this is where the McLaren really comes into its own. Super quick through the second and third sector, through the corners, as he has his DRS open down into the Ascari chicane, where no doubt he'll be sending it here. And let's see how he fares. 336 kilometers an hour, 337 it was into the braking zone of Ascari. It's a 26.594 from him in the second sector, and that's third fastest out of anyone. That's on par with Max Verstappen, who is currently at the top of the timing screens, except Max Verstappen was a couple of attempts quicker than him in the first sector. But this is when the McLaren claws back that time out of the exit of Parabolica, turn 11, the last corner here, across the finish line, and it's only P7 for Lando. So quite a conservative lap for Lando. Will he be at risk here? You can see it is only a couple of attempts between Lando and Ollie Behrman in P11, and we saw the improvements made by those at the end of Q1, and will we see the same again at the end of Q2 here? We will see. Will Lando have enough time to do another lap? He may have to push again and do a cool-down lap here on this same set of tyres and go again. I do suspect that's probably what he'll have to do. Will he have enough time to come into the pit lane and put on a fresh set of tyres? He's only got 3 minutes remaining to do that and get round to the start-finish line. But it'll be Max Verstappen, who is currently out there on the same set of tyres that he currently was on. George Russell is on a brand new set of tyres. Piastri is, Bortoletto, lots of drivers here on the brand new set of tyres. Carlos Sainz is out on a used set of tyres. Oh, wow. So Sainz has not a new set of tyres available to him, or maybe they think this same set of tyres is worth it. We know that Williams have had struggles with their tyre warm-up, and maybe they think going out on a used set will help with that. But you can see, other than Lando Norris there and Max Verstappen in the top 10, and Carlos Sainz we just mentioned, everyone is on a brand new set of tyres. Albon is still in the pit lane. He's making his way out now. But let's see how they fare. Let's stay on board with Max Verstappen, shall we? Big thank you to everyone in the stream, by the way. Over 10,000 viewers for the qualifying as Max makes his way through turn 1. He's currently P1 at the moment with a 1:19.1. Can he breach that 1:18-second barrier? I didn't think we'd see it until Q3. Maybe we're going to see it in Q2. Max Verstappen is my bet for pole position. And, well, with that brand new power unit in the back of that Red Bull and the low downforce setup, first time they have brought a low downforce package in this regulation set, Red Bull, they've always had a tailored, a DIY version of other setups because they've always had a significant advantage over their competitors. But the first sector is pretty decent, to be fair. It's a yellow first sector. It is slower than last time around, but you're talking a couple of hundredths of a second. Let's see how he fares in the second, though. He is slower, significantly slower, to be fair, in that second sector. So that's the second push lap here on this same set of tyres, not giving him an advantage. But he is potentially giving a cheeky toe to Yuki Tsunoda, but he's also not improving. And what we are seeing here, actually, what you can see is a lot of yellow sectors on the board. Very few green sectors. The only drivers improving are Behrman, Alonso, Antonelli, as Verstappen can only do a 1:19.4. Yuki Tsunoda is currently in P6. Can he improve in the last sector? No, it's a 1:19.5 from him. He stays P6. Esteban Ocon in the drop zone at the moment only moves up into P12. Sainz is safe for now. Behrman moves up into P7 and pushes Carlos Sainz out, and Lewis Hamilton at risk, and potentially Lando Norris as Antonelli goes second. He's into Q3. Well needed from him. Hamilton's at risk here. Lando Norris is at significant risk here of going out in Q2 because of a big lock-up into turn 1. Lando Norris has 40 seconds to start another lap on this same set of tyres, and it's going to be a tall order for him to do so. How about Lewis Hamilton? He is green in the second sector. The first sector is pretty decent. It's yellow, but it's still quicker than the majority of those ahead of him. As Piastri goes purple in the middle sector, as Piastri will go P3 only, and Kimi Antonelli is ahead of Oscar Piastri. Lewis Hamilton moves into P8 and pushes Lando down. Lando is all or nothing now for Lando Norris. He is on a second push lap on this same set of soft compound tyres. All eyes on the papaya car of Lando Norris as everyone has completed their lap times. It is Albon, Ocon, Sainz and Hülkenberg who are out in Q2. But can Lando, with the last driver to cross the checkered flag, will he be able to sneak his way out of this Q2 session and into Q3? He only needs an improvement by 6 thousandths of a second to get ahead of Ollie Behrman, who is in P10 at the moment. As Lando Norris does go green in the first sector. He's improved there. It's an improvement for Lando Norris. Let's see how he fares through the second sector. Will he get a cheeky little toe from George Russell as he makes his way down the back straight? He's navigated the second Lesmo where drivers have had issues all weekend. He makes his way down into the Ascari chicane. What will that second sector time be? It's a 26.6. It's a couple of hundredths slower than it was previously. It's going to be close between Lando Norris getting out of Q2 here and ahead of those ahead of him. Ollie Behrman will be looking at his dash. All the Haas drivers, all the Haas pit will be looking at this lap time, the onboard of Lando Norris as he comes around the last corner. Can he do it? Can he get through into Q3? He can! Just big moment there for Lando Norris at the end of Q2. On the second push lap, on the same set of tyres, he did the first run in Q2, and Lando Norris pushes Ollie Bearman down into P11. A big sigh of relief for Lando Norris fans and Lando Norris himself. But once again, all of his own doing due to a big lockup down into turn 1. But Lando Norris there left it. He had 10 seconds to cross the start-finish line. He had to get past every single driver who was out there on track, who had already completed their laps. But big moment under pressure for Lando Norris to get through there. And we have lost Ollie Bearman, Nico Hulkenberg, Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon, and Esteban Ocon. Ooh, breathe a sigh of relief, guys. Breathe a sigh of relief. Unbelievable there. But Lewis Hamilton has got through. Look at that. The top 10, the top 12 separated by 300, just over 300ths of a second. So close. Just one little mistake here or there can be the big difference. But Kimi Antonelli, P2. The Mercedes mixing it up there at the moment. And well, this is where Lando Norris in this championship battle needs to ensure he gets pole position, because it's not going to be many chances between now and the end of the season where other teams are going to be able to mix it up with the McLarens. And this is where you need to take advantage of that and ensure you can put as many positions between yourself and Oscar Piastri. But how often have we been here before with Oscar Piastri? Not necessarily the quickest driver throughout the weekend, but he becomes the quickest driver when it matters in Q3. Not a lot separating those drivers there. Look at that. The top 7 separated by less than 0.2 of a second. That can be just a slight hesitancy on the throttle out of any corner here at this circuit. That is how close qualifying is at Monza. And, well, we have an absolute stonker of a Q3 on the way, guys. Whew. Thank you for everyone for tuning in, by the way. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Let's get to a stream. Over 1,000 likes, can we? Over 10,000 of you in here. Big moment there at the end. But we have, for those of you who said this was a curse, how wrong you are. How wrong you are. Now, yes, Charles is P6 at the moment and Hamilton is P9. But we are now going to see significant teamwork probably from Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, as Lewis Hamilton does have that 5-place grid penalty coming his way. So he did say he will be utilised as a tow for Charles Leclerc. And, well, that could be the big difference between him where he qualifies this afternoon for tomorrow. Surprise Alonso. Yeah, Fernando Alonso doing wonders again, by the way, in that Aston Martin. That car shouldn't really be in Q3. It's not a car that is good, as I mentioned, on a low downforce package. However, Fernando Alonso doing brilliant work. Gabriel Bortoleto, by the way, great work from him. After all the plaudits, of course, went Isaac Hadjar's way, rightfully so, because of his podium in Zandvoort last time out. He is out in Q1, and Bortoleto now in P7. He scored a P6 in Hungary just before the summer break. He would have been gutted, really, that the summer break came when it did. Had a poor start with that anti-stall, losing him 5 positions at the start in Zandvoort, and he picked up damage from an overtake from Lance Stroll. This will be a very good start to his weekend and potential scoring points tomorrow. So just over 2 minutes until the session gets back underway, guys, as they are once again clearing gravel off of the track. Antonelli first pole, maybe. Can Ferrari overtake tomorrow since Hamilton has a 5-place grid penalty? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll see. We will see. I don't know in this current... I always think there's a possibility of overtaking, but then this current set of regulations is just... Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes it surprises me, but it doesn't surprise me enough, unfortunately. So, you've been here since 30k subs, now over 50. Thank you, man. Lando helped by Oscar to get into Q3. That'll bite him in the bum. I think Lando was helped by a number of drivers there, to be honest with you. The first lap was... Because he'd done the lockup in the first run in Q2, his second lap was too conservative. You could see that in the sector times. He just wanted to get a lap on the board. And then it still wasn't quick enough because of how close the field is, which probably maybe would have shocked him a bit. And he really had to get those tyres in the right window. So credit to him, because he could have gone too quick. He could have gone too quick on that in lap, on that second cool-down lap, and not crossed the line. But he did, and then under pressure, he got it done. So, yeah, fair play to him. But shouldn't have been in that position in the first place, ultimately. But here we go. Kimi Antonelli secured pole position for the sprint race at 2025 Miami Grand Prix. He did indeed, yes, but not a pole, that people don't call sprint pole an official pole. But I still think it's a pole at the end of the day. But, yeah. After all the criticism, of course, for Kimi Antonelli recently, fairly, and even this weekend where he beached it in FP2, getting it into Q3 would have been his aim. Of course, he still needs to carry out Q3 and ensure that he qualifies as high up as possible. But that was a significant boost to his confidence with that run there, getting it into P2. He will be looking at that thinking, okay, I can qualify, I can push for this now. I can mix it up with these guys here this weekend. So, yeah, let's see how he fares. But only just under a minute or so until Q3 gets underway. Nightbot is here to ensure that the chat is kept as clean as possible, Anas. If you are being timed out by Nightbot, it's because you're using banned phrases or you're using too many emotes and caps. So that's purely what it's for. We also have mods here to try and keep the chat as a clean and suitable place as possible. So, yeah, I do apologise, man, but you just need to be wary of, obviously, what you're spamming. I still think Oscar can get front row, but Antonelli is flying. I still don't rule out Oscar. We're in the 16th round of the season. How often have we been in this position where Oscar Piastri hasn't been the quickest driver all weekend? And in Q3, bam, pole position. So, am I a Ferrari fan? I'm actually not. No, I'm not really a fan of any team, to be honest with you. If there's one team I am a fan of, it's McLaren, but not... I don't have an attachment to McLaren like I used to. I watched McLaren growing up with Mika Hakkinen. He's my favourite driver of all time. Very different, looking cars, livery choices. I don't identify... It's really weird. I don't know. The change in their livery and their colours, I know it's initially Papaya is their initial colours and their livery. But that's not my McLaren. That's not who I identify with. And I've lost a bit of an emotional connection to them because of that. It may sound completely stupid to some people, but that's my logic to it. Ferrari, no, look, I've always been a fan of Lewis Hamilton. He's the only driver I am a fan of on the grid. Yeah, that's kind of the reason why. Hakkinen was solid. He could come back as he's on a sabbatical. Have you seen Mika Hakkinen recently? He'd have to stay off the takeaways for a little while. Bless him. He's enjoyed his life post F1. I can't blame him. So, but yeah. So I hope that understands. But anyway, here we go. Q3. We have just under 11 minutes until we will know who will be lining up on pole position for tomorrow. Will it be another front row for McLaren? Will we see a shocker? Will we see Max Verstappen get on pole position? Will it be one of the two? Could we see a front row Mercedes? There are so many different permutations here. This is one of those qualifyings that I actually don't know, I think, for the first time this season, what the order is going to be. Let's see what is going to happen. Charles Leclerc, do not rule out Charles. Remember, Lewis Hamilton will be helping Charles Leclerc. I thought he'd be helping Charles Leclerc, but he's not actually out there giving him a tow right now. He's actually coming out behind him. But yes, Lewis Hamilton did say he would help Charles Leclerc try and get pole position because he has that 5-place grid penalty that he'll be taking tomorrow. So let's see how they fare. But you can see here, Norris out first, Antonelli out second, Piastri out third, Russell out fourth. So no team assistance here. And even from the Ferraris, no team assistance either, with Alonso splitting the two Ferraris. Max Verstappen is coming out behind Tsunoda, so maybe he'll get the tow from Tsunoda, but maybe these drivers don't want a tow. Remember, the drivers have been speaking that sometimes getting a tow could be detrimental to you because you actually receive dirty air, even from as far as 4-5 seconds back. So we know how sensitive these cars are to the wind, to dirty air, and clean air is king, as Oscar Piastri famously said in Baku, and no truer words have been spoken, I believe. But anyway, here we go. Lando Norris, he just snuck through into Q2, out of Q2 into Q3. What can he do here? Can he get pole position? Of course, an unforced retirement from a mechanical issue in Zandvoort robbed him of number of 18 points to his teammates, and Oscar Piastri currently leads 34 points over his teammate in this championship. Let's see how he fares. Can he break that 119 barrier as he does a 26.574? That is Norris's fastest... Sorry, it's not his fastest first sector that we have seen thus far, but it's still pretty decent for the McLarens considering as they are significantly slower through that first sector. Let's see how Oscar Piastri fares. Can he get ahead of his teammate in that first sector and take purple away? He can, as he so often does in Q3. A sub 26.5 for Oscar Piastri. Advantage Piastri at the moment. Russell cannot beat Oscar Piastri's time in the first sector either. Lando Norris does a 26.560 in the second sector. That's one of the fastest we have seen thus far. Verstappen is starting his lap now as well. Charles Leclerc goes 3 temps quicker. They're 2.5 temps quicker than that of the McLarens in the first sector. But we know that's where the Ferrari is strong and the McLarens are stronger in the second sector. As Oscar Piastri goes purple again in the second sector. Advantage still Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris ran the last corner and Lando Norris does a 119.433. That's not particularly quick. We have seen a 119.1 from those in Q2. As Kimi Antonelli does a 119.7 there, so not particularly a great first lap from him, but he is on used tyres, so understandably so. Oscar Piastri does a 119.0, 4 temps quicker than that of his teammate. Advantage provisional pole for Oscar Piastri. George Russell goes 1/10 back from Oscar Piastri, a 119.5. How about Charles Leclerc? Where does he fare? Can he get onto provisional pole? He can! Charles Leclerc is on provisional pole, a 119 flat by 500ths of a second. How about Max Verstappen? How quick is he going? How quick is Lewis Hamilton going at the moment? As Lewis Hamilton goes third, a 10th back from Charles Leclerc. But how about Max Verstappen? He is quicker than I think George Russell and Charles Leclerc at the moment. It is neck and neck between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc for pole position as it currently stands, if my maths is correct. One last corner from Max. He exits Parabolica across the finish line. It's provisional pole for Max Verstappen, a 118.9 with a purple last sector. And, well, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, as it currently stands, will be lining up on the front row. Oscar Piastri is third. Lewis Hamilton is fourth, but we know he has a 5-place grid penalty. George Russell is fifth. Bortoletto is sixth. Lando Norris is seventh. Bearing in mind, Lando Norris at the moment. Bortoletto is quicker on used tyres than that of Lando Norris. So Lando Norris did make a slight error somewhere. But Max Verstappen, as we predicted, ladies and gentlemen, can I just say, as we predicted, qualifying is still not over and done with yet. But that's why you come here, for this great logic, for these great opinions and predictions. I said Max Verstappen is I stuck to my guns and said Max will be on pole. And, well, he's currently on provisional pole. He's not got it done yet. There's still a second attempt here for the drivers. But, yes, Max Verstappen is just ahead of Charles Leclerc. Piastri third. And, well, this is where Lando Norris really needs to dig deep here and qualify well. Because if he wants to win this championship, many people say it's already over and done with. If he wants to win this championship, he needs to at least line up on that front row and to ensure that he is ahead of his teammate with other drivers in the mix here, because that is not going to happen too often for the remainder of this season. But yes, Max Verstappen with that brand new power unit. As I said, the first time Red Bull have brought a low downforce package to any race circuit for this regulation set. He is currently on pole position. So I said it's going to be tricky for them tomorrow. The McLarens are banking as well. The McLarens are banking on ensuring they can lock out that front row as they are running more downforce. They are significantly slow in the speed traps. If we have a look here, I'm not going to show you the sector times because at the moment it's not really relevant because it takes into account the whole qualifying session. But you can see here, Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc, Verstappen, all in the top 5 when it comes to, apart from the last sector, Verstappen, but they're in the top 5 for the majority of the speed traps in all sectors. The McLarens, Norris, one of the slowest. Piastri, one of the slowest. They're quick in the corners, but they are banking on ensuring they are on that front row and they get clean air. And they could be massively susceptible to those on the lower downforce packages tomorrow in race trim and just get swamped and eaten alive on the straights with the DRS. So that's something to keep an eye on at the moment. But yes, with just 4 minutes remaining of this Q3 session, it is Max Verstappen on provisional pole, the only driver today to get sub 119, a 118.923. Charles Leclerc is 0.08 of a second behind Max Verstappen. It is currently a Verstappen-Leclerc front row. Oscar Piastri is P3, a further 10th behind Max Verstappen, with Hamilton in P4, but he does have that 5-place grid penalty, unfortunately for him. George Russell is in P5, with Bortoleto in P6, which he set his lap time on a used set of tyres. So maybe could Bortoleto still improve? Lando Norris definitely made a mistake and is only in P7. He needs to improve massively from him. Antonelli is in P8. He was on a used set of tyres as well, so improvements for Kimi do not rule him out of mixing it up with the top 5 as it currently stands. Yuki Tsunoda in P9 and Fernando Alonso will probably just be happy to be in Q3 in that Aston Martin, but he was also on a used set of tyres, and well, I imagine everyone in this last Q3 run, as we get underway here now, Yuki Tsunoda makes his way out there, as does Charles Leclerc with Lewis Hamilton behind. How many power units available for Max? He has now used his last engine in his allocation, so he's not taking a penalty for this because this is his last engine in this allocation. So Lewis, best to pull out a lap at the back here to have a good starting place tomorrow. If he starts behind that Sauber, it's over. Yes. Yes. Yeah, he needs to try and... I mean, it's mad. That Sauber is going to be tough to overtake tomorrow with how quick it is in speed traps, especially Bortoleto. So, wind is picking up, track temps dropping, Ollie. Let's see. But yes, one thing is for sure is that Lando Norris needs to improve. Oscar Piastri will not be too disheartened with this right now. Yes, he wants to be on the front row, but Oscar Piastri will be looking at this thinking, I'm still ahead of my teammate as it currently stands by 3 positions, or 4 positions. So he would be increasing his championship lead as it currently stands. So from the championship perspective, this is not bad for Oscar Piastri and Piastri fans. But for Lando Norris, this is not what he needs at all. But one more run here, guys. Just under 2 minutes remaining. George Russell will be the last to cross the finish line. We have seen George Russell used this tactic before, be the last driver to cross the finish line, and he has snatched pole position or been close to snatching pole position because he has benefited from the evolving track state. Will we see something akin here today? Let's keep an eye on these drivers now then. So shall we keep an eye on Yuki Tsunoda? Let's keep an eye on Charles Leclerc first though, shall we? With all due respect to Yuki Tsunoda, he's currently down in P9 and Charles Leclerc is currently in P2, looking to improve and try and get ahead of Max Verstappen and get pole position here. The race winner here last year. No one expected them to be fighting for pole position here this weekend. And well, Ferrari, they are right in the mix at the moment. So, Charles Leclerc, will he be getting... Is he close? Is he too close to Yuki Tsunoda, though? That is the question. It's a 26.360 for Charles Leclerc in that first sector. It's not an improvement on last time around, but it's still a quick first sector nonetheless. Let's see how he fares through the first and second Lesmos. This is where the Ferrari hasn't been at its strongest, as it is running lower downforce than that of the 2 McLarens. As Lando Norris does improve, and Oscar Piastri's had a bit of a slow first sector by his standards. A 26.5. We'll keep an eye on Lando Norris as well, as he's currently in P7 and needs to improve dramatically here. Charles Leclerc, though, as he makes his way through the exit of the Ascari chicane, he's yellow in the first sector and yellow in the second, and Max Verstappen has improved on his first sector. It's a green from him, but Oscar Piastri, while he was slower in the first sector, he's purple in the second. Oscar Piastri improving here. Lando Norris improves as well. It's a green from him, but is he quicker than his teammate? Is he quicker than those ahead of him? We will see as Charles Leclerc cannot improve. It's a 1:19.2 from him. Second is best for him, as is fourth for Lewis Hamilton. He'll be starting 9th at best tomorrow. How about Oscar Piastri? Can he get pole position? No, he moves into P2 and will be started on the second row. How about Lando? He's on pole, Lando Norris, when it matters. But Max Verstappen is still out there. Round the last corner he comes. Can he take it back? He can. Oh my God. Max Verstappen improves again and is on pole position, unless Kimi Antonelli and George Russell pull something supreme out of the bag here as Kimi moves up into P7. George Russell is the only driver who can thwart Max Verstappen now. We have seen this tactic used before by George Russell. He comes across the start-finish line. No, he cannot improve. And Max Verstappen is your pole position for the Italian Grand Prix tomorrow. As Yes, smugly, I predicted Lando Norris P2. Oscar Piastri P3, Charles Leclerc P4, 2 tenths behind that of Max Verstappen. In the end, Lewis Hamilton will be starting from P10 tomorrow behind the stake F1 of Gabriel Bortoleto. George Russell will be starting P5. Antonelli will be starting in P6. A good qualifying from Kimi Antonelli finally from him. Only less than half a hundredth of a second from behind his teammate. Gabriel Bortoleto, a great qualifying from him in P8. Alonso P9. Tsunoda P10, but they will all be moving up one position because Hamilton will be starting from P10. But the story is here today. Max Verstappen is on pole position. Lando Norris is second. Oscar Piastri is third. And well, Lando made it tough for himself, but he will be starting ahead of Oscar Piastri. But it's going to be a very, very interesting first couple of laps tomorrow, guys. And it's going to be an interesting race in general. Woo! Breathe, everyone. Breathe. Breathe. Very, very close there. I said it. I'm just going to say I said it. Max is so good on the low downforce packages. We've seen that this season. It's how he's grabbed pole before. He's got a brand new power unit in the back of the car, which is so essential and so advantageous at this sort of circuit where top speed and that extra power is required. And well, he has not nabbed pole position. He is justifiably so got pole position there from Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri. Could we see fireworks between the two McLarens tomorrow? We will see. Of course, Oscar Piastri will be playing it coy. We want to get a course ahead of his teammate down into turn 1. Monza turn 1. We've seen many incidents there before. These cars are very large. The largest in F1 history, as we know. So anything could happen. But lap record. Is that a lap record? Yeah, was it 18.8, wasn't it? Was the fastest lap, I think, previously. By the way, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed. What a stream. What a stream. Sad Leclerc didn't get it, but Max is better than Lando or Piastri. That was a great lap from Max, yeah. Tifosi getting happy by the coincidence that Leclerc started 4th last year. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Leclerc podium, I think it's definitely on the cards. I still think the McLarens, that would be the worst case scenario for the McLarens. They're not on the front row. They're not locking out the front row. Max is going to be difficult to overtake because he has that top line speed. If he can hold on to the lead at the end of the first lap, Charles Leclerc is going to be quick in a straight line as well. He'll be looking to pounce on that of Norris and Piastri because if Max is leading, this is what could happen, is that while Max has got on pole position here and he's going to be significantly slower, really, in race trim, I believe, in that second and third sector. Let me have a look at the sector times in particular. So, where are the sector times here? So, I mean significantly slower. He wasn't really, but yeah, I mean, the McLarens in particular, let's have a look at the sector times here, and then we'll have a rundown on the grid for tomorrow. But the McLaren's strength are in the corners, and they could be staying on the back of Max Verstappen, maybe quite significantly. And that will mean that, I'm not saying Max will back them up, but it could bring them into Charles Leclerc's clutches and make things very interesting behind. So, yeah, I'm intrigued for tomorrow. That was a great qualifying. Need to leave you to no worries, Pat. Good to see you. I'm off very soon as well. Forza Ferrari. But yes, let's have a rundown of your starting grid, provisional grid for tomorrow. Max Verstappen on pole position. Yes, your eyes and ears are not deceiving you. Max on pole position, a 1:18.792, a new track record at Monza. As we have seen so often this season, track records have been falling left, right and centre with the current modern F1 cars, the last year of this regulation set. Lando Norris so close, made it very difficult for himself as he has done so often this season, just made it through into Q2 and well, pressure on in that last lap there, less than a tenth separating him and Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri will start P3. Yes, he'd like to be starting ahead of his teammate, but he still has that 34-point advantage over Lando. Charles Leclerc starting P4 tomorrow on the second row. Do not rule him out tomorrow. He won from that place last year, remember. Lewis Hamilton, a good qualifying from him. Just a shame that he has that 5-place grid penalty for starting for obviously what happened at Zandvoort before the race even began. Imagine if he didn't have to take that tomorrow. He'll be starting from 10th place. A real shame from him. George Russell will be moving up into P5, as will Kimi Antonelli, who was very close to his teammate. A good and needed qualifying from Kimi Antonelli there at his home. Well, another one of his home tracks. Of course, Imola is his home track. Gabriel Bortoletto. That Stake F1 car is going to be a menace tomorrow. It's so quick in a straight line, and it can be very tricky to overtake. If it can manage its tyres properly, then yes, the likes of Lewis Hamilton, the likes of Alonso and Tsunoda could be very frustrated tomorrow. A great qualifying from both Alonso and Tsunoda, considering Tsunoda getting into Q3 again. Well done to him. And Fernando Alonso getting that Aston Martin, as he so often does, into Q3 where it doesn't belong. Ollie Behrman starting P11, Nico Hulkenberg in P12. A poor qualifying from Sainz and Albon. Many after FP2 were saying they could be fighting for the podium positions and fighting for the top 5. But as so often is the case with the Williams, no doubt they probably struggled with their tyre temps. And they have another poor qualifying. But at least Sainz can take solace that he just outqualified his teammate in P13 compared to 14th. Ocon in 15th, and then we get to the bottom 5 where Isaac Hadjar, the 2 RBs, after the highs of last week where he got his first podium in F1, well, he is out in Q1 in P16. That's, yeah, it seems to be that setup that they have on that RB car is just not working in the corners. It's quick in a straight line, but just cannot turn to save its life. Lance Stroll in P17, extending his Q1 exit record again in P17. Colapinto in 18th, out-qualifying Gasly. Some positives for him there, at least, and Liam Lawson, as we mentioned in P20. Both of the RBs had big moments in the Lesmos, turn 6 and turn 7 in their quali laps. And that is your provisional lap for tomorrow, guys. Provisional grid for tomorrow. So, whew. Time for sleep, Alan. Yes, have a good one, man. We've got over 55,000 subs today. Well, not in total, but we've achieved 55,000 subs today. Big thank you, everyone. It's funny how I thought Charles was going to get pole and Max is going to be P4. Other way round, yep. That is it. So I have to make a quick exit, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. A big thank you to everyone for tuning in. And for those of you who are new to the channel as well, we'll be here live an hour before the race begins tomorrow, where we'll be looking forward to everything that this race has in store for us. The strategies, the tyre options, the tyre selections that they have available to them, the pit stop lost time and entry time, and everything that you need, all the information that you need to keep an eye out on this race tomorrow, because that grid is very much shaping up to be a very interesting Monza race. Very looking forward to that. Max is the better driver. You can clearly see the updates are just catered for one car, one person. Look, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. But when the car is there, he capitalises. That's what the best drivers do. When the car is there to win races or to fight for race wins, that is what he has done many a time. And that is why he has always been a thorn in the McLaren side, because he would always, no pun intended, maximise the car underneath him, whereas the McLaren drivers don't so often. And that's why many thought at the start of the season that even if Max could be there in a car that, for more often than not, fight for race wins, he would get in between those two McLarens and push them and get more pole positions than them. And look, he's got a couple of race wins this year, more pole positions than I think Lando Norris this year. That says it all, really, doesn't it? So, but anyway, everyone, big thank you for tuning in as always. Thank you for all the subscribers. I'm going to end this stream. It is going to send you straight over to the race stream for tomorrow. Hit that notification bell button to be alerted when I go live tomorrow. Hit that thumbs up to like the stream as well, and this one. And of course, hit that subscribe button as well. Brings us closer. Every subscriber brings us closer to making this full time for us. So yeah, big thank you as always, guys. Have a lovely rest of your Saturday. What a grid we have in for tomorrow. What a race we have in store for us tomorrow. And can I just say, I mean, there is still a race. There's still 52 laps to go tomorrow. But at the moment, there's no curse. There's no curse. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.